This is Viterbi Voices, the podcast, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more directly from our faculty, students, and other members of the engineering community here at the University of Southern California.
This is episode 115, featuring some of our fantastic Viterbi alumni from our weekend live chat event up in the Bay Area. Tune in for some fantastic words of wisdom from some extremely successful Viterbi engineers. Sweet. Okay.
Welcome back into Viterbi Voices. This is episode
115.
115. I'm having a horrible morning. This is our second take in an intro, and I'm still not doing good.
Just gotta introduce yourself.
My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And my name is Ria Chowdhury. I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering here at USC.
And my name is Audrey Roberts, and I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering here at USC.
All right. Well, Audrey and Ria, I bring you a special bonus episode today because over the weekend we got together with a number of our alumni in the Bay Area because we have obviously there's a big tech community up there, lots of companies, lots of our alums go up to Silicon Valley in the Bay Area to work. And so we had an event called Admits and Alumni, and it was a reception for all of our admitted students in the Bay Area to meet with alums and learn more about what they did. We had a number of different alums, and we chose 6 of them to sit on a panel that we broadcasted live. So if you're one of our admitted students, hopefully you caught that, or if you want to check out the video stream of it, it's at viterbiadmission.usc.edu/live. But we're going to take the audio from that and throw that up into this podcast. Woohoo. And it is super, super cool. It's about an hour total conversation. But we got Robbie, who works at Apple. Lydia also works at Apple. We've got Nick at Square, who does work on the Cash app for iOS. We've got, I should probably remember who was on this panel before I started talking.
Betty's on the panel, right?
Betty's on the panel, who had been working at IBM and now just left her job for a brand new job that she starts today, actually, which is kind of cool.
Whoa.
Doing some really cool, like, pet tech stuff.
Pet tech, of course.
Pet tech.
She loves her. She's obsessed with her dog.
It's a startup. It's a startup, really cool. Yeah, her dog has like more Instagram followers than most people.
Her dog has like thousands of Instagram followers.
Yeah.
Gotta respect that.
And Tracy, who is a doctor, has an MD from Stanford, actually Stanford Medical School. And Tracy is a consultant for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And studied biomedical engineering. So Tracy studied biomedical engineering. Lydia studied industrial and systems engineering. Betty studied aerospace engineering. Nick studied computer science. Robbie studied electrical engineering and works at Apple. And the last guy is Evan. Evan studied electrical engineering. He's also got his master's from Stanford in electrical engineering and is currently finishing up his MBA at Stanford Business School.
Wow. Really? What a stacked panel.
It was cool. And those were just the 6 that we chose to go up there. There were like 12 more in the audience that we could have been equally as...
Wow.
The cool part about it, too, and I said this in the event, was... all we had to do was like a week and a half ago, I sent an email out and say, hey, who wants to come? And like everybody just ran out and started doing it.
Awesome.
So it was super, super cool. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. But it was a fun day. We were at Y Media Labs, which is another really cool kind of tech company. Really awesome space in Redwood City overlooking the bay there. And there was a crew competition going on outside. So we got to watch the crew competition outside the windows. And it was just cool. So big thanks to Adam Talcott, who's a grad from 91, I think, in electrical engineering. And he got us the space, so we had all of Y Media Labs to play around in. Wow. And Tracy helped organize a lot of the stuff and got some food for us, and it was cool. It was a good day.
Amazing. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah. So before we get into that, if you are an admitted student and you haven't made your reservation to visit campus, to get on that, you go to your portal at admission.usc.edu/status and make a reservation for one of our admitted student days, whether that's Explore USC or Preview USC. We have a few left. And also our large big day admitted student day on the weekend, which is Saturday, April 27th. That's a huge program that is a great opportunity. It's your last opportunity to visit USC before you have to make a decision because you have to get in your intent to enroll by May 1st. And so that is a hard deadline, and that is coming up fast. So make sure that you do that. If you have any questions or need any other help with that decision, give us a call, 213-740-4530. Again, that's 213-740-4530. or give us an email at vadmit@usc.edu. And we look forward to hearing from you soon as we start bringing in our incoming class for fall 2019. Very cool. The graduating class of fall 2023. Really exciting. Really exciting. Yeah. So anyways, let's get out of the way and give it over to our alumni panel.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome everyone who is joining us around the world. We have a number of different active viewers already, and we have a number of different questions already submitted on our panel. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC, not here, actually, I guess down in LA, at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. We are broadcasting live from Y Media Labs in Redwood City in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we have a live audience. Let's hear for the live audience. And today we're going to be having our alumni live chat Q&A. So our audience will be able to ask questions of the panel. We also have people that are writing in questions through our website right now. And so I'll be moderating the panel. But before we do any of that, why don't we have introductions? We'll start with Evan. We'll start with you. Are your mics on? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
There we go. Good. Just so you know, the audience can't hear you unless you're on the mic. So
Okay.
they cannot hear this. Okay. So go ahead, Evan. Those introductions.
How are you? I'm Evan Lee. I graduated USC in 2011 with a bachelor's in electrical engineering. And I guess quick summary after that, I did a master's in EE studying computer vision at Stanford right after. Went and worked in software for a few years, different companies, mostly in the startup world in computer vision. And then went now post that, I'm doing an MBA at Stanford again. So that's me.
Hey everyone, I'm Robbie Wright. I graduated with a bachelor's in electrical engineering in 2008, and then again with my master's in EE in 2009. After graduation, I bounced around the aerospace industry for about 4 years, spent a couple years at Northrop, and then at a small third-tier supplier. And then for the last 6 years, I've been up here at Apple. I currently manage a team of product design program managers in the technology development space.
Hi, I'm Nick Enton. I graduated 2017 with a bachelor's in computer science. Been up here for a year and a half working at Square on the Cash App.
Hi, I'm Lydia Madden. I graduated in 2012 with my BS in Industrial and Systems Engineering. After I graduated, I moved to Houston, Texas, actually, and worked in the energy industry for a couple years. Then about 4.5 years ago, I moved here to the Bay Area. I've been working at Apple ever since in their battery procurement group and now doing iPad internal strategy.
This is working. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Hi, my name's Betty. I graduated from USC with a degree in aerospace engineering in 2017. For the last 2 years, I've been working as a sales engineer at IBM, and actually on Monday, I start a new job at a startup doing product management.
Hi, I'm Tracy Dooley. I graduated in 2002 with a BS in biomedical engineering and a minor in econ. After USC, I went to do my MD at Stanford. Following that, after a couple years in healthcare investment banking, I went to go lead strategy and innovation and then later operations at Novartis Diagnostics. And currently, I am a digital health and life science innovation consultant working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as a number of startups and advising some venture funds here in the Bay Area.
Thank you. You guys can hold on to your mics, and then we'll just start going into questions. I have a few that I'll start with online, and then we'll go from there. And those of you that are in the audience, you know that we have a number of different other alums that are in the area as well. So when this is over, of course, asking questions of them. And this is one of my favorite days, so I'm excited about this. Let's start with a question that was the first one coming in. Charlie from Irvine. Hi, Charlie. Hope you're watching right now. What is one thing USC gives or gave you that not even Harvard, Stanford, or a similar Ivy? I didn't know Stanford was an Ivy. I believe they're in the Pac-12, right? Okay. Anyways, let's change it a little bit. What is one thing USC gives or gave you that not even the other schools that you were considering gave you, or your perspective on that? Whoever would like to jump in.
Feels a little pointed.
Because you're at Stanford now,
yeah. So for me, one of the things that I was actually just talking about this was that really helped me make my decision to go to USC was I felt through the application process, and then it continued while I was there. I felt that the administrators I had met, the faculty I had met, had shown an investment in my future and my education. And I think that really carried me through to basically where I am today. It gave me a lot of confidence and gave, having people that I can turn to in both the administration and faculty members really helped me grow while I was there. And I didn't see that sort of personal connection at the other places I was thinking about at the time.
Yeah, USC gave us Paul. But to echo Evan's
good
point,
things.
To echo Evan's point, I think, as I've told a couple of prospective students, the support structure that not only the university, but specifically the engineering school provides was very apparent when I was in your situation, trying to make a decision which has a lot of weight to it, or feels at least that it has a lot of weight to it for the next 4+ years. So the career services, the academic resources, the resources of a college that has a smaller feel with a university that has so many different opportunities and interests and functions that you can explore behind it. I think really that is second to none. At least it was when I was taking a look at a number of different universities at the time. And then it was the first school that I had met with that actually brought in current students, which is unusual. So that network and that support system extends while you're going through the program, and then after you're going through the program. New alums who come back 10, 15 years later, there's a reason for that. And that Trojan network, as they say, is very real.
So I think that USC produces really well-rounded students. That was one of the things that really attracted me. So you're able to take classes not just in the engineering school, but you can take business classes, art classes. And I think that's really great from an interest perspective, but also giving you skill sets outside of just a technical engineering background. So in addition to that, even within the engineering school, I think they're really producing well-rounded students for industry. So for example, we had to take a class that was called Writing for Engineers.
Advanced Communication for Engineering.
Okay, yes, what Paul said. And that was a really good learning experience because often I think a lot of engineering schools produce very technically minded people who don't know how to communicate their idea in the business world. And USC was very practical in teaching us communication skills and making us leaders in the industry. So I felt like it was very easy to get hired and be well respected in industry because of that.
So I'm going to give a couple perspectives, okay? So first from my individual one, I think that to echo other people, right? I mean, USC has a level of personal touch that was really, it surpassed any other school that I was looking at. And I felt that in making my decision to go to USC, I was not going to have to give up any of my other interests, right? And I felt that that was not necessarily true for any of the other schools that I was looking at, that I would have to sacrifice one thing in order to go to that engineering program, right? So that was one thing. And then from a hiring manager perspective, I've led groups of, over hundreds and had to hire for internships. And I think that what you see in engineering, USC engineering students specifically, that really differentiates them from some of these other schools that have been named, is that they have a really unique ability not to only have this technical ability, which is that's the price of admission, right? You're all smart, but they're able to put that into use almost immediately in context, okay? They can adapt, they can work well with a team, and that's the kind of thing that hiring managers are really looking for, is somebody that can really hit the ground running and do that. And I think that's something that is very unique to the USC brand, and even as a Stanford alum, I don't find that I see that in other schools, so.
Great, thank you. Let's go to another question that I have here, and then prepare your questions. We'll get to the live audience in a moment. This is one of my favorite questions that I wanted to jump out right away. Emmanuel from Woodbury, Minnesota, hi Emmanuel, is asking, what's it like working in Silicon Valley? Is it overhyped? There's a lot of laughter from the audience there.
So I said I worked for IBM for 2 years. IBM is like not a Silicon Valley tech company. We're an East Coast company, so my hours were like 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then my boyfriend works for Google, so we compared our experiences. It's a totally different job that you'll ever have if you work up here. You get meals provided for you, you get a gym, you get all these nice things, but at the end of the day, it's the same job wherever you go. They just have all these nice amenities to kind of keep you there longer. But it is a really nice environment. I think depending on the job, and everyone here works at different Bay Area companies, it's much more project-based, I think, when you're working in tech. So it's not like you have to be there 9 to 5, like a lot of aerospace companies maybe. But you have your tasks and you have your team and you get them done, and then you can kind of go home. So like some days I'll work, I'll have a really long day, but some days I can, be done since I start at 5 a.m., I can be done at noon. So that's kind of nice. Yeah.
I was going to add that working in Silicon Valley feels very global to me. So a lot of us are traveling around the world. I was in manufacturing until my recent job in internal strategy at Apple. So I was always on the go, Europe, Asia. It's a very dynamic environment up here, but I think that it's not just Silicon Valley. I feel like you definitely have a lot of insight into what's going on in the rest of the world when you work here.
So, okay. Sorry. So I might have a slight minority opinion on this, but I just for color, I worked at a startup after my master's that grew to like from 100 to 1,000 people in a year and a half. That was a Silicon Valley experience. Then I went to join, I consulted for other startups on the side, went to join a startup in New York that then got acquired by Amazon. And then I'm back in Silicon Valley now. So having seen all that, I think Silicon Valley is an amazing place for idea flow and generation and just sharing. For me, I found that it is a little overhyped. I actually liked working in tech in New York a little bit more, only because you get more perspectives from more people who are like coming from other industries and other worldviews, which I think gives you a good view on everything else. And a lot of people I'm talking to in business school now are looking at how do we get tech in the rest of the country. So I think the question asker was from Minnesota. I know that like Minneapolis has more Fortune 500 companies than any other city in the US. So like there's a lot of other places out there that have other perspectives as well. So it is a little overhyped, but it's amazing. But you can find similar experiences in other places as well, I would say.
Let me add this question as a follow-up to that, and I think there's a lot of myths or just rumors or just the ideas that people think that they need to go to a school in a location that is near a company they want to work for. I think, Evan, inside your answer, you kind of proved a lot of that wrong, but I wanted to get other people's perspective on this.
I'm not from the area. I come from outside of Los Angeles, which made the commute to USC when I wanted to go see my parents easy. But I don't personally believe that's a requirement. You can come from any part, and as long as you build your skill set and toolkit up in the industry that you want to be a part of, that industry, every industry is starving for talent. And so Silicon Valley is no different. Every company is trying to hire the best individuals, the most skilled individuals, the most experienced individuals. And USC and the engineering school within USC gives you that foundation to really work anywhere up here. Yes, it is. Knowing that recruiting for my team in particular, a lot of folks from San Jose State and from UC Berkeley and from Stanford, but we hire outside the state all the time and outside the country as well. So it really is a global, as was said earlier, a global place to be a part of.
And I'll add to that, it's not just where you go to school and where you end up after. Where you end up after doesn't have to be permanent. You can still move around. People move across the country for jobs all the time. So there's no decision that cannot be changed.
Yeah.
Just throwing out a couple examples from my own experience. So the company in New York that I went to join, I got an offer from there, interviewing from my couch in Palo Alto. My brother, I think, is probably moving to Austin, and he went to school in Philadelphia. When I was deciding after school where I wanted to go, I had job offers in Silicon Valley, New York, and Germany. So I didn't go to school in any of those places.
And then I want to see what questions we have from the audience. But before I take your questions, I do want you to know that as some of you are talking and some of you aren't, we lose and gain viewers. I'm not going to tell you who yet, but I'll give you a score when we're done. Okay. So questions from the audience. Anyone have any questions, or would you like me to keep going because I have others here? Okay. Yes. Oh, from here. Okay. Great. Real quick, what were some of the maybe we'll just go down the aisle, just real quick bullet lists of things that you did while you were at USC, how you spent your time at USC, what were you involved in at USC? Tracy, do you want to start with you?
Okay, sure. So I'll start. I was a Viterbi student ambassador before Viterbi was Viterbi, so I was an engineering student ambassador, and I got to work with Paul, which is a huge highlight of my time there. I was also in the peer mentoring program, both in my lower classmen years as a mentee and then as a mentor. I also did peer tutoring, where it's a free tutoring program for engineers where the upperclassmen will tutor the classes. I was on Tau Beta Pi board. We did a lot of events and fundraising. I did clinical, because I was interested in medical school, I did clinical internships at County USC and Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and I also did research in the material science department. So that's a few.
That was really impressive. I gotta follow that. Well, yeah. So I did research on materials, and I actually got to go to Germany through my research, which was really cool. I did the Viterbi Overseas program, where I was able to study in London for a summer. I think we were all Viterbi student ambassadors.
The majority.
Oh, sorry. So I did that as well. All of you guys, your freshman year, you'll take a course called Freshman Academy that's led by a professor and two upperclassmen. So I was able to be one of those upperclassmen of that course. And then my senior year, I participated in the Min Family Social Entrepreneurship Challenge. So I actually created a company, went through this year-long course where we got to develop the company and took second place. So that was really cool.
So I was involved in a lot of stuff in the engineering school, but also outside. So within Viterbi, I was also a freshman academy coach. I did events for the VSA program, Viterbi Student Ambassador. I helped plan the National Academy of Engineering's Grand Challenge Conference when it came to USC. That was really cool when we got to host that. I also did paid research. So one of my projects was on pediatric patient safety. Another one was material science related. And outside of Viterbi, I was involved in Greek life, so as part of a sorority, and also the Christian community through an organization called Crew.
I was involved in a lot of non-engineering things. So I got really involved with student publications, so the newspaper and yearbook on campus. Which is a cool opportunity to see a lot of different things going on in all different places in the school. And then got involved with the film school and worked on a lot of student films.
I also actually worked on a lot of student films involved through this the film school. I did a number of the same organizations that my colleagues over here did. I was part of Eta Kappa Nu, which was the Electrical Engineering Honor Society. I was a part of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE. I was an ambassador as well. I did the overseas program in Madrid, which was an amazing experience. I was also a supplemental instructor and a peer tutor and a TA for Engineering 101. And were you in my class?
I think you just listed all my stuff.
Yeah. All the while also trying to learn how to properly freestyle rap in my spare time. So
look how good that turned out.
So I can rattle off the same exact list. Being in EE, I was the VP of Eta Kappa Nu, which is the EE Honor Society. I was on IEEE. I was a TA of Engineering 101. I was a Viterbi Student Ambassador. That's where all of our similarities are. And then I was on the robotics club for a bit. I did club lacrosse for 2 years. What else? That's probably enough, right? And I actually also did a Viterbi overseas program, and it was also in Madrid. So, thank you for living my life.
I just realized we got Robbie and Robbie Jr. over here. Yeah. All right, let's go to another set of questions. This is a great one coming from Tamia in Washington, D.C. At a school as big as USC, how difficult was it to get internships? And what types of companies are out there recruiting? So Tommy asked this question, but also a number of others are asking questions related to internships, career services, your opportunities to engage and network with employers and recruiters, and what types of companies were you engaging with outside of the ones you're obviously working for now?
Take it.
I thought USC was a small school personally.
I was going to address that. Yeah, if you guys did. Yeah, it's not really a big school.
Yeah, it's not. I think, how big is the Viterbi student?
Well, so our incoming class of freshmen this year will be 410 students.
Yeah. So I think that's really small.
That's really tiny.
Yeah.
I think that's about the same as it was when I was there.
It is.
Entering class of 98, so that tells you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's because there's not that...
1998 is what you meant.
What
the late 1900s.
What other option is there? So it's not really competitive. There's only 400 people. There's a career fair that I actually got to come back to as an IBMer to hire from, and there was 180 companies.
Yeah, at a career fair. Yeah, that
just want to make sure I said the right number. Yeah, 180 companies. So imagine that, and times 2,000 students, 4 years of students. I think that's pretty good odds. But there's also a ton of other opportunities. A lot of student organizations will hold their own career fairs. I was also a member of the Society of Women Engineers, where they specifically go and they want to hire more women, which is really awesome. And I actually got all my jobs through the Society of Women Engineers. There's a new career fair that goes on now called the Startup Career Fair. Mm-hmm. So a ton of startups like Snapchat. I don't know any other startup names that you might know. That was the big one. I was like, they came, and that was cool. I think Tinder was there. They gave out shorts. That was kind of cool. So there's so many things always on campus that people are going to, networking. And just recently, like I mentioned, I just looked for a new job. And so even as an alumni, I'd go on LinkedIn, I'd find a company I wanted to work for, I'd search USC, and I'd just send them a message on LinkedIn. And every time I messaged someone, sorry, maybe it was one of you guys, I'm so sorry. I just bothered so many people, but they were so willing to always talk to me and have a conversation, give me a referral, and it helped so much. So like the network is amazing while you're at school, but also after.
Yeah, I found my internship and then full-time job just actually through the Trojan network. So you hear that the USC family is very strong, and that's true. So I was just referred to a company and ended up getting hired before the end of my internship was over. But I did also dabble with the career services at USC. So there's one run by the school as a whole, and then one specific to Viterbi. So at Viterbi, it was great because they really helped me tailor my resume specific to what engineering companies were looking for. They bring in very engineering specific job offers and internships. But actually, as a funny story, when I was a junior, I kept seeing someone come into my class wearing a suit every day, looking very dapper, because he was coming from on-campus interviews at the Career Center. Ended up marrying my husband over there. He's sitting in the audience. But he found his job through the USC Career Center. And I thought it was really cool that he was just going to interviews in between classes, and he won me over. So
go to get internships to find that partner is really what I'm hearing. Yeah. Little did you know you were interviewing for 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Nailed them both. Other thoughts? Let's talk a little bit about hands-on projects. There's some various questions with various wording here about like senior projects or things related to specific majors, and everybody does hands-on projects throughout the 4 years. So can you talk about your experiences and getting your hands dirty, and how did that culminate and grow and scale and scope over the 4 years?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I loved most about USC was I think I did hands-on projects every semester I was there, like from the very first one through my senior capstone projects. I was doing some sort of building from day one. And that's amazing, because that's like why I wanted to be an engineer and not a physics major. So that plus just so as it grows, I guess, the different classes that I took, we were building. I was doing like hardware design. We were doing some basically building some like game simulators in freshman year, and then by the time I got to senior year, I was doing gestural recognition on a digital signal processor, and we took another capstone class I took. We built a set of speakers from scratch, which was awesome. And all in something I forgot to mention on the side, I also was doing research, which was getting me deeper into like practical hands-on experience on like academic research. I was in nanophotonics and then in image compression. So in those, basically through all that, I got like quite a deep sense of, what it's like to actually build things as an engineer, how to make it practical. And that really starts day one, and it doesn't end until you basically ever. I think I'm still doing it. So
I can answer from like a more like mechanical engineering. So I studied aerospace engineering. And again, every semester we'd have at least one class that had a really awesome project. Your junior year, you take a full year-long course called Mech Optronics. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. I loved it because every week you're doing a new experiment. And what's really great, it kind of goes to what Paul was saying on how we're trying to make an engineer that's not just technical. And so you do an experiment, and then you learn how to present that information in a different way, whether that be a talk, whether that be a presentation, a write-up, a report, which I think is just so valuable. And then your senior year, you get a capstone course where you get $500 and you get to go build whatever you want. Within reason, obviously, but like it's really cool. There's like so many opportunities, so many resources to just go do whatever you want. And even outside of that, there's a ton of student organizations. So there's the SC Racing Team, where they build a race car every single year, completely student-led, and then go race it in Lincoln, Nebraska. There's the Rocket Propulsion Lab that builds a completely student-run rocket that they're trying to launch into orbit. There's Aero Design Team, where they build a RC airplane. There's so many opportunities in your class and outside of class, which I think is just so amazing.
I did material science research. I got to jump in my freshman year, which was an amazing experience, and we were looking at composite materials for applications in orthotics, and we published actually after I think a year and a half. So there's the opportunity to do that and to work really closely with professors. But I also want to highlight some of the stuff that's going on right now. I was actually just down at Viterbi for their awards dinner Thursday evening, and one of the things that was really incredible was they have a social impact engineering group, and they brought 5 teams of engineering and business students to Greece to think about how they could engineer designs that would impact the quality of life for refugees. And so these teams are looking at things like low cost, like high-tech clothing, water filtration systems, apps to help them find more information. So I think that, engineering, right, even though you're in the School of Engineering, engineering touches aspects of every aspect of our life, right? And so I think the things that are available to you, at USC are just limited by kind of how far you want to.
In addition, there's also the Startup Garage, which is basically an in-school incubator for any startup idea that you may have. In fact, one of our good buddies, David, had his first idea for his app, which he then sold to Apple a few years later in that Startup Garage. So it translates even beyond the college experience.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears slightly. I think that there's a number of students. I'm sorry? Oh, there's a question over here. Yes, go ahead. I just want to ask, what might hands-on work look like in computer science? What might hands-on work look like in computer science? Yeah, you want to take it? Typing.
Okay. lot of typing.
A lot of typing.
A lot of typing, a lot of whiteboarding. In computer science, you'll do a lot of hands-on projects in classes. And outside of that, there's opportunities to go to hackathons and work with your friends on a project on a weekend. Lots of people who are very interested in working on projects all the time. So if you have an idea, you'll definitely find people who are interested to help you out.
Yeah, I think some of the capstone courses inside of computer science that I always like to mention are design of operating systems. design and write, build your own operating system. And then another one, Nick, I don't know if you took this, but the large-scale software design, software systems class taught by Jeff Miller. This class is pretty cool. I sometimes get involved in this class as a stakeholder, and that I get to come pitch an idea, something that I want as a software solution, and the students basically bid on that in small little like companies, for lack of a better term. So teams of 4 or 5, a few of us go in, we pitch out saying we want a certain product. We use this group as a whole team of software engineers, and then I work with them throughout the semester in building out that project, and I get to have an impact on their grade. So I like that a lot. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. Let's shift gears slightly a little bit and talk about what is referred to in this question as some low points. And I'm going to kind of rephrase the question a little bit, but I think that there are a lot of people that don't necessarily know, especially from a high school perspective, that an engineering degree is necessarily everything that they want, or that they definitely want to be an engineer. Can you talk about moments when you were uncertain, moments that you made transitions, or when you just questioned, oh my God, why am I doing this?
Gladly.
Yeah. I'm looking at Evan. I'm like, I remember a very specific moment.
I know. Dean Yates doesn't let me forget it. So I come from a family of mostly business people. I didn't really know if I wanted to do engineering when I was looking at college. I was actually not really kidding when I said that building stuff is the reason I didn't want to do physics. I was really thinking, I had a physics minor. I was like a couple of classes away from a double major. I was like really thinking about going in that direction and trying to be, in my 18-year-old mind, Isaac Newton, which was ridiculous. But yeah, so I came in really not sure if I wanted to do engineering. If I wanted to do engineering, what type of engineering I wanted to do. And so the story that Paul was thinking of, so I was in my freshman year, I had gone back and forth. I think I had done the paperwork to be a mechanical engineer, a computer scientist, and an electrical engineer. It was like switching my mind all the time, and decided on electrical. And I remember coming into, I started to take my first real electrical engineering classes, and like halfway through the semester, I came into Dean Yates' office, and I was basically in tears. Like, I have no idea if this is what I want to do. I don't see where this is going. I don't like understand what I'm actually working towards. And she was like, calm down, it's gonna be fine. we'll help you figure it out. But basically I left there with, she had already sent emails to 3 different professors to set up time for me to meet with them that week and talk about the research they did, their industry experience, how this degree actually grows, and where I would be going with that. And basically after that, then I went on to keep doing it for another 6 years of education. So yeah, like things like that, I definitely hit those points. There are times when I questioned, what am I doing? Do I actually want to do this? Do I want to be an engineer? And every time, that's what I was saying originally. The administration, the support, really made me feel confident in my decision, and they were completely helpful in figuring out who to talk to make sure that you're going in a direction that you like. So it was unbelievable. But
I actually started as a computer engineering, computer science major, so I thought I'd be half programming, half hardware. And in my first semester, I was able to take computer science 101 and EE 101, and hated computer science 101 right off the bat, and labored through that semester. So I figured, okay, great. I was able to narrow it down between these 2 fields. I'll do electrical engineering, and I walk into my advisor's office, and he puts out the wheel of the 15 different emphases within electrical engineering. And I was like, this is going to be just as hard. So I bounced around multiple emphases until I actually ended up on computer architecture and embedded systems, which had just about as much programming as I was trying to avoid. But truth be told, I actually didn't lose a step. I didn't lose a semester. I didn't take any classes that I felt were superfluous. Everything that I had done in that, I would say, year and a half period of time, translated over and transferred over, and was able to continue the path to success in 4 years, which is also part of it, part of that support system. You don't necessarily need to have that answer, and I don't want. Hopefully that takes some of the weight off the decision. But that's the reason why we have the academy classes. It's the reason why we have like Engineering 101 to give you a flavor of all the different fields within engineering so that you can have at least some level of understanding of what type of material, what type of skill set you'd be building within each so that you can make that decision. I always tell this story. I had a buddy who graduated in mechanical engineering, decided at that point he was going to be a medical doctor. After graduation, did a post-bac for about 1.5 years, and then went right into medical school.
You know Tony?
That was Matt Miller.
Okay.
But it only took an extra 1.5 years. Now, I wouldn't recommend waiting until after graduation to figure out what major you want to go in. But the truth of the matter is, if you're doing things within the engineering school, the hard sciences, the liberal arts side of it, all that does translate over, and you should feel at least a little bit less pressure to be able to have that flexibility and make that decision when it's right for you and when you have the information to do it.
Any other different stories?
I'll just say that, so engineering is not only just a skill set, but it's also a mindset. And I mean, as somebody who is not doing like engineering or practicing medicine, sort of daily in my job, what I am doing is I'm solving problems, right? And so I bring that engineering mindset to thinking about first principles and how do you work through some of these challenging things. And I mean, you're constantly getting thrown new information, and how you integrate that and how you're able to kind of move forward with, let's face it, reality. So imperfect information, and to come up with a good solution. I mean, that's kind of what engineering is all about, right? So even though I'm maybe not working on the specific medical device or the diagnostic, I feel that, USC really prepared me for that, and having that engineering degree was incredibly valuable. And yeah, I had my share of low points in computer lab at 3 a.m, and I was like, why am I doing this? It's going to make my GPA worse for medical school, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I came into USC knowing I wanted to do computer science. There was no question in my mind I was going to work in software. And then I started taking some classes for fun and got involved with photography and started taking film classes. I was like, oh, maybe not software. Maybe I'll go into film. And found that a lot of the things I learned in engineering classes about problem solving and how to think about problems applied even there, even though it was a totally different field. And I did end up sticking with software and going through computer science, but knowing that the opportunity was there and that at any point I could switch to something totally different is great.
That's awesome. Let's switch gears entirely from that. And first thing that pops in your mind, one of your best memories from your time at USC, within reason. Gentlemen.
I'll start. Viterbi overseas was probably like the best experience of my undergrad. Like, it was so cool to be able, I think a lot of times when I was touring schools, a lot of people are like, oh, you can't really study abroad if you're an engineer. And I was really sad because that was like the number one thing I wanted to do as a high school student, was study abroad. Then I was able to do it, and I honestly made some of my best friends from that program. Like, we still stay in touch, we still talk all the time, and it was such an amazing experience.
And you were in?
I went to London.
Yeah, I mean, it's an overseas program, definitely one of the best experiences I've had. It was amazing. Learned a ton, had a lot of fun. The two things that popped into my head as soon as you said that were, I remember freshman year coming out of my dorm, the first football Saturday of a home game and just seeing the crowd and the alumni support, and like every patch of grass was covered by some tailgate. That was a wild experience. I was expecting a lot, but that was like crazy. And then it was so much fun. That was just a highlight. And then the other thing was actually the Grand Challenges Summit that Lydia was talking about. For me, that was about the time I was thinking about, do I want to go to grad school or not? And hearing the speakers that they set up talking about the grand challenges of the next century, what engineers should be focusing on, got me to the point where I was like, I'm just scratching the surface of what I actually want to learn and what I want to work on. So that was like a pretty life-altering moment for me. I met some mentors that I still have to this day from that experience. So I think those are my two ones.
This is going to sound a little cheesy, but the people, first and foremost, that I met, a lot of, even starting from my freshman year, I remember, the late nights are difficult, but when you share it with others going through that pain, I think it makes it a lot easier. There's a picture of the guy who ended up being the best man at my wedding, where he and I are staring at a whiteboard, or one of the walls that we had written on in one of the libraries that we then had to not tell anybody about because they didn't erase the way they were supposed to erase. But I mean, if you look at that partnership and that building that you have with your friends, your fellow students, all of that, I think that carries with you through the rest of life. And then the first time we did the talent show actually sticks out in my mind. Oh, yeah. The first, really to see how much talent engineers have outside of their field of engineering was pretty exceptional. I emceed that. Albert, everyone met Albert, was the DJ. So guy knows how to turn a table. I don't know how you say that. All right.
By the way, did you see we have turntables over here? I think we can get Adam. We get that set up right. So Albert.
But I mean, it's so cool to look back on these little things. I mean, football games and whatnot, everything that's outside of the school, and then to take that shared experience and again, meet with those folks 10 years later, 15 years later, have them still be in my life, I think is something super special.
Any other fun stuff? Best place to eat? Food. What do you think of? What do you want to get back to right now?
I mean, Commons is so different now.
Commons not even there.
No, say.
Does it have to be on campus?
No, when you associate with USC, where you want to go eat right now if you go back down there? Or a place that you really liked?
This is one that a lot of people probably don't know, and you should all go. So it's on 28th and Grand. It's just on the other side of the 110 freeway, and it's called Cerise Cafe, and they have amazing breakfast burritos. And I guess like one of the fraternities, like one day would go there like every Sunday, and like it's just her and her husband. It's like this cute little Thai couple. I'm Thai, so like we all connected, and they like made 30 burritos for this entire fraternity every Sunday. Wow. It was super cute. They have like their picture of the fraternity on the wall, but super cute. You should all go there. I'm just like plugging it because I love them so much.
None of the stuff that was around when I was there is still there, and I'm super jealous that there's Trader Joe's now, because I would have loved to have had that. But one of our favorite places, because we were, broke college students, is you can go to the Getty, and it's free, and you can go have brunch out there and look at the amazing $1 million views. And so that was, when we really needed a break to like get away, drive up there and enjoy some great art and food.
Roy's, the French dip? Is that what it is? Roy's? Ray's? Philippe's.
Roy.
Never mind. Philippe's, yeah, that one. Yes, definitely go there. Best French dip sandwiches I've ever had. They're amazing.
The inventor of the French dip sandwich.
Yeah. There you go.
Just a piece of advice for future students out there. Take advantage of when your parents are in town. LA has a lot of amazing food, and they'll pay for it. So when my family would come and visit, we would try to find a new restaurant every time, or go to like sushi downtown. There was like a place called Takami that my dad loved, and so every time he came, we would stop by there. Just take advantage. There's a lot of good food in LA.
I love the pho restaurants that just have a number. It's like Pho 87, and it's in the middle of Chinatown. Those were always the best. And they have like a fountain in the middle of the restaurant, but it's a great way to get a cheap lunch, and it's amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I think someone was talking about debating between UCLA and USC, and I think USC wins hands down for being around the best food, because you're right next to Koreatown, you're right next to East LA, you're right next to South LA, where it just has the most like authentic, amazing, super, super, super cheap, because now we live in the Bay Area where everything's so freaking expensive. Just amazing food, and every time I go to LA, I just spend every single meal. I just gorge myself because I'm like, it's pho for $7, amazing.
It's easy enough to get to UCLA to get In-N-Out and Diddy Reese, which is the only food that's there.
Oh, and Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles.
Roscoe's.
You don't get that anywhere else. So.
That's true. We're going to do one last question. I'd like each of you to chime in on this. Why USC?
Go ahead.
I think it's all the reasons that we talked about. It was the one that was the best fit, for me and my personality. It was something that allowed me to not only continue with all the interests that I already had, which were pretty diverse, but to also expand that, and to do that in a safe, supportive environment where I knew that, the school had my back and that they would really support me in going for whatever I was interested in doing, no matter how crazy it might have seemed to, somebody else on a more traditional path. And so I think it really came down to the people and what I was going to be doing while I was there. And I don't regret it at all. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, everything you said. I think when I was touring a bunch of schools, there was no school that felt the same when I walked onto USC. It just felt right. I don't know how to describe that feeling, but everyone was just happy and smiling, and the weather was amazing. And every time you talked to an engineer, they did more than just engineering, or they just did stuff beyond their classes, which I thought was so rare, which shouldn't be rare, where engineers were really cool people that I think do really cool things. And I think USC just cultivates all of that. And it's just, you get so close to your professors, you get so close to your friends. It's just such an amazing community.
Yeah, I chose USC because it had the academic rigor, but it also had everything else. So I got to take all those cool classes. I got to network with people who weren't engineers. I just got a lot more breadth, I think, in my experience. And I also felt like it was just the right size. I feel like I was really able to excel because I had resources available to me. People believed in me. They gave me research opportunities. They helped me along the way. And I mentioned in the beginning that USC makes really well-rounded students. And I felt like I graduated with that well-rounded experience in my college life, but also bringing into industry.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons, but the number one for me is the network. And my dad went to USC, and I grew up seeing him run into people who were wearing a USC hat and just, immediately friends. And the network is a real thing.
My dad actually went to UCLA, so I grew up a Bruin. I think my first credit card had a UCLA logo on it. USC felt like it could be something I could be a part of, as opposed to just a school I was going to attend. And what that meant to me was I felt it was, in the engineering school specifically, was going to invest in me as much as I was going to invest in it. And that proved to be 100%, in fact, 150% true. The school, I think, invested way more in me, in my growth and success than I could ever repay. And I honestly did not get that from the other schools that I was applying to and was touring and whatnot. So, obviously appreciative enough to come back many years later and still do this. Huh?
Yeah, what everyone said, for me, it was mostly about the opportunities to grow. And I think what's beautiful about USC is the support structure that we've talked about a couple of times. The people really do care and invest, and as everyone said, just echoing that. But I think the other aspect of that is that there's so many opportunities that you can grow in whatever way is right for you. I was going down some of the academic research route, also doing a lot of the clubs. I think whatever, if you want to go into film, you can go into film. You can really, as you figure out what really resonates with you and what gets you passionate and excited, there's a chance to really go deep into that. And that was something that was rare, and what I know for me, I needed for my college experience. So it was a pretty easy choice at the time. Would do it again.
Fantastic. Let's please give all of our alums a round of applause. Thank you all for joining us. You don't need to leave yet, but thank you for all of you that were joining us on the live stream and all the questions. There's no way we can get to all of them in the short time period that we had, but I wanted to thank you for being here with us, and also a big shout out and a big thank you to Adam Talcott, who's here in Y Media Labs, who gave us this space, and so we really appreciate you. And also to Tracy Dooley, the chair of the Emerging Leader Board, who helped put a lot of this event together, and she got the food, so thank you, Tracy. And my favorite part about USC, I can't say it better than these fine folks did, is the fact that just about 10 days ago, I can throw up the Viterbi bat signal, and they all come running. And it was the most fun to be like, hey, what's up? What time? Where should I be? And this is my favorite part about this place and getting to know these students. I've known a number of you since high school, since you were in high school. And it's been a lot of fun to see you grow. And it's excited to have you here to kind of bring in our next incoming class. So to everyone out there, thank you so much. Congratulations on your admission. I know you have a hard choice. I really do hope that you choose to come to USC. We want you there. And the way that we always need to end everything, fight on.
And that's just about it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. We release new episodes every Monday, so follow us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Spotify now, so you can shoot us a follow over there too. But we'll catch you next week. Peace out and fight on.